Well, it was an all-star at bat for the ages. Yordan Alvarez drew a walk as it was planned. But we're going to talk about the MVP of the all-star game and a player that may one day play for not only the Astros, but also the Houston Texans.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we update you. Join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Thank you for making us part of your daily routine. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you that become an everydayer. Somebody listens to our podcast every day, and we do appreciate you making us your daily part of your daily routine. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. I enjoy doing it on your phone. You will too. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use code all lowercase locked on MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So Brett, when you're not walking an all-star game, where can they find you at?
They can find me at h-vac on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Facebook and on Instagram. They can also find me on Back to the Bullpen on X, Instagram, YouTube, pretty much anywhere. Just look up H-Town Wheelhouse. You'll find me somewhere out there. You know, this all-star game, some people might say, well, it wasn't great, but I liked it. I liked it this year. I liked the action we saw. I liked the storyline of Paul Skeens getting in there. I like, I'll talk a little bit about what Ohtani did, Juan Soto did. But before we get into the all-star game and what Yordan Alvarez did, can we just talk about the fact that the hat that I'm wearing that was designed by Joe Muscat, the All-Star Astros special limited edition hat, looks way a heck of a lot better than the crap they were wearing on the field. Now, the National League uniforms weren't that bad with the black and the teal, but the American League uniforms looked like it was a recycled bottle program that the local Enviro people wanted to put together. And they're like, look, we saved 80 Dolphins by making these jerseys. And well,
it's all about the money. It's all about the money.
All about the money. But look, I feel sorry for you if you bought a jersey. Those jerseys, or especially the American League ones. The American League ones were awful. They were top 10 worst uniforms, I think, of all time. They were that bad, dude. I was like, is this some techno color 1960s? We have a color TV for the first time. I don't know, dude. I couldn't get over that. I couldn't get over. They had these lasso people as they were introducing the players, and I thought it was kind of cool. The players came out and put a little cowboy hat on the kid that represented them, which I thought that's cool. Anything you can incorporate kids into that. But they had the guys doing lassos, but they didn't have hardly any room to lasso, and so they kept having to stop, and they looked like they didn't know what they were doing. But clearly, these are people that probably have some crazy mad skills, but they had a 4x4 foot square where they couldn't do anything. And I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Good thing Cody Johnson sang the national anthem. That was phenomenal. So there were a lot of really cool things with the All-Star game, and not a packed house. I mean, the people got some entertaining stuff,
All right. If you caught the first 15 seconds of this show, Brett said the fix is in. It was all planned that Yordan Alvarez was going to walk in this game. That's what you heard here.
No, I didn't say no. That was not. No, you clearly. Thank you, Main Street Media. So here you go. This is what happened. Yordan Alvarez, through an interpreter, said that it was the plan for him to just take one plate appearance tonight. Asked his favorite part of his brief all-star experience. He said, the walk I drew. Now, it was planned for him to get one at bat and be done. Everybody's like, how dare they replace Yordan? Bochy hates the Astros. And he hates the Astros even more because they didn't even play any Mariners. Well, was there anyone besides Logan Gilbert on the All-Star team from the Mariners? I mean, the mascot was there, the Moose, but I mean, he doesn't play.
At least Ken Rosenthal would say, well, at least Alvarez showed up.
Yeah, but look, man, I was kind of bummed because I was in between my house and taking my son somewhere, and I missed Yordan's at bat. And at first I was like, oh, cool, he got like a single. And then I found out he walked. I was like, oh, dang it. I really wanted him to hit a tank, but I thought it was fun, Eric. The All-Star game, the big scoring moments. Shohei Ohtani hit a 3-run home run, a towering fly ball. Jurickson Profar, Ketel Marte scored on that. It was 3-0. Then the American League, which is weird seeing Ohtani as a National League because I'm used to him being in the AL. Juan Soto doubles on a ground ball to center fielder Teoscar Hernandez. Marcus Semien scores. Stephen Kwan scores. It's 3-2. Then David Fry, who came in for Yordan Alvarez, singled on a line drive to left field of Jurickson Profar. Juan Soto scores 3-3. And the MVP of the All-Star game, Jarren Duran, hits a home run, fly ball to right center field. Anthony Santander scored. The final score was 5-3. This kid won the MVP, okay, for the Boston Red Sox. And if y'all don't know much about him, this is really cool, okay? He went through the humiliation of missing a fly ball against Toronto to the mess that happened to him in Kansas City, being demoted, dealing with mental health issues. Now he has a career year right now. He just won the 2024 All-Star Game MVP. Epic story. And John Morosi also put discussing his mental health issue that he's been open about. It's great to see he is a source of strength and inspiration for so many and a night to treasure. So that's really cool. And you see someone overcoming personal adversity and even guys, Eric, on the big stage, because most people, we look up to these guys. Like we kind of, we make them into heroes. We make them into superstars, right? We immortalize them. And they're human just like us. So I think some great storylines. Ellie De La Cruz got on. Everybody was hoping he would steal like third base, and he got on and he was fiery. Harper looked good out there. Hit a ball to left field, just did enough to get a base, got a double. So that was really cool. I thought it was a fun All-Star game.
And I'm glad this one counts because whoever won this game has home field in the World Series, because that's what Bud Selig would want. I'm kidding. I know that's no longer the rule. That was the stupidest rule in the world.
This one counts.
Exhibition game determines who gets the World Series. Really, Bud Selig? Really?
It would be like
the answer.
It would be like a free throw competition for like basketball for the NBA. In the All-Star game, whoever wins the skills competition, you get for, that was a stretch. Baseball, they always try to be creative. They always try to be inventive. But
they're just trying to get ways to people to watch, because back then I don't think a lot of people watched it.
Well, it is the most watched of all the All-Star games in major sports,
right.
Even the NHL All-Star game. Now, one of the things that I do like about this All-Star game, or that I would like better if this All-Star game had, is if the teams were wearing their uniforms. I think it looks way cooler when you see guys from different teams, when you see the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Guardians, the Astros, the Red Sox, everybody all on the same team. I think that's a cooler look than, and hey, for all intents and purposes, Marcus Semien ended up starting at second base because Altuve didn't play. How cool would it have been to see, for the Rangers fan, to see a Ranger uniform at second base? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To me, let's just go back to the uniforms. Nike, I'm sorry, whoever's creating uniforms, not doing a good job.
All right, so we'll talk about Yordan Alvarez a little bit more, but I do want to address that before the game, he did mention that he would like to, somewhere down the career, participate in the home run derby. It's just not something that that he wanted to do at the moment, and he feels like at some point in his career down the line, I'll probably do it, but I'm not super motivated to do it right now. So we'll see. He said, I watched just a little bit of the event. It looks cool, but I'm not focused on that right now. So maybe someday we'll see Alvarez participating in a home run derby because we know he's likely going to win. So we'll go deeper into why the Astros coaching expect a little bit more from Alvarez in the second half.
This episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse. SupplyHouse is your place to go for your plumbing, HVAC, and electrical project needs. You need to get supplies, and if you're a skilled tradesman, why not go there? It is an easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts and from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service and the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every single time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining the SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. And go to PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active customers. Yours truly as well, Eric. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other sports apps, PrizePicks, it just basically keeps you going and gets you in there. And it's just you against the numbers. It's not you against other people. 2 to 6 player stat projections and the winnings roll in. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into 1,000. Let's go. Let's go get it with the finals over. You've got hoops still going on. Look, you still have Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese fighting over Rookie of the Year awards. And it is available across 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So make sure you go to PrizePicks today. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's first deposit match of $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB at PrizePicks for your first deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Hey, you watching this podcast, why don't you become an everydayer? Somebody that listens to this podcast every day. Whether you're on YouTube, go ahead, hit that little red button down there that says subscribe. Make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go and make us your everyday listen. Become a part of the Locked On Astros Nation. Go check out Locked On Astros postcast as well with Michael Connor every day after every game. So this episode is also brought to you by the only Astro All-Star that went to the game. That we're talking about 3-time All-Star Yordan Alvarez, and he is one of my favorite players. He is one of the best players in baseball, and I'm going to say this with a grain of salt. We know that he is not having the typical Yordan Alvarez season. He's a little bit healthier this season, but he's also not crushing the ball like we're used to seeing it. And there's some reasons behind it. We'll go into that in a second. But if you look at FanGraphs, the barrel percentage is down a lot. It was in 21% in 2022, 18% in 2023, and it's down to 13.7% in 2024. His exit velocity is gone down. It was in 2022, 117.4. Max exit velocity. His max exit velocity this year is 116.8. His average exit velocity is down from 95.2 to 92.7. So his hard hit percentage has gone all the way down from 59.8 to 46.1%. So we're seeing him not make the same type of contact. This is not something that FanGraphs needs to tell us. As Astros fans, we have seen this. We have seen part of the reasons why the Astros have struggled this year up until this point is Alvarez has not been the same hitter. A lot of it was he started off batting second. Maybe he wasn't comfortable, or there's been many different issues along the line. But he is good enough hitter to turn things around.
Yeah, well, I think too. I think he's also a victim of circumstance in that, hitting is contagious, and the team just struggled mightily. Okay. As you're going through those numbers, and even though he is down and there is, I wouldn't call it quote unquote decline, he is still in most categories in the 90th percentile or higher. Okay. And the hard hit percentage is 78th percentile, which, he's dropped a bit there. I still like his K percent. He's 87th percentile of 15.3, percent Ks. And, to note, even with his injuries and stuff, even with him, being out or not being himself, he has 19 home runs right now. Well, the last 2 seasons, he had 31 and 37. I really think Yordan Alvarez at the end of the year, we're going to be talking about a 45 to 50 home run season. Now, I know that means he has to go on quite a tear. He can get 40, I think, for sure. I think this is the first year he gets to 4-0. And this offense, as long as it continues to do what it was doing lately, and not the last 2 games against the Rangers, but overall what they've been doing and hitting, you're going to see, I think, Yordan Alvarez do something. Now, the real question is, do they go out and get another bat? It looks like what?
I'm not done with the Alvarez situation.
Okay, good.
So you're predicting 21 home runs in a lot fewer games. I just want to point that out.
Okay, that's fine.
40 home runs. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not capable of it, but this is what Alex Cintron had to say. To be honest, this is one of the worst years he's had in terms of feeling good every day and repeating his swing. He has struggled all year, and he's not feeling great. It's been up and down for him in terms of getting his swing. They said that he, in between at bat, sometimes they look at some stuff from previous seasons, and they did it. I think when he had a walk-off home run, they're like, "Oh, you're closing your hips here, and you're not doing it here." So he made the adjustment and hit that walk-off home run. And Espada said, "I think kind of the way he feels in a box, he hasn't been good as good as in the past when it comes to back-to-back days. There's always something that just doesn't feel right, but he always manages to get a hit or a walk. He's always a threat. He's just one swing away, one at bat away from getting hot, and that's what makes him so good."
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, maybe after hearing the actual hitting coach and what he says, I just think that Yordan Alvarez, because of the way the Astros have been playing, I guess that's really where I was going with that. Yeah, it is a lot steeper hill to climb, especially with his struggles this year. But if there's anybody on this team that can do it and get hot, because we'll hopefully have Kyle Tucker back here in a couple weeks, here in a few weeks, and you inject that lineup with Tucker, maybe you go get another bat. I think that helps. And who knows, Aledmys Diaz may come up and be that other person off the bench, that second utility guy. And if he stays healthy, we know he has the ability to hit. So, hitting begets hitting. So, yeah, you're right. I think it's a tough hill to climb, but I think he can do it this year. But he's going to have to find a rhythm, and that clearly is obviously what Alex Cintron is addressing, is a lack of repeatable rhythm.
Right. And I think that in the past, it's come so natural to him. And this is just him making that adjustment and trying to get back to where he's been in the past. And there's a whole bunch of All-Stars in this to kind of wrap up on the All-Star thing. There's a lot of All-Stars there that could be traded at the trade deadline. Will they come to the Astros? Who knows? I know that Ken Rosenthal mentioned the Astros as one of the teams that are desperate for a starting pitcher. So Tyler Anderson could be traded. Garrett Crochet could be traded. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Mason Miller. I don't see the Astros going to get him. Isaac Paredes. And you also have Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates. I don't see.
We have Zach Eflin possibly is out there on the trade block.
I'm just talking about All-Star players that are on the All-Star team that could have been traded.
Okay. All-Star team guys. Okay. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me if they were on the All-Star game or in the All-Star game, or if they were selected to the All-Star team or not. I just need to know that if we get somebody, it makes the team better. Right. Isaac Paredes is an interesting person because he's a third baseman. My only question would be, where would you put him right now? Because we have Alex Bregman. What would he play? But I've been seeing that some of the names that the people have been wanting, or that we've been talking about, the Pete Alonso, those guys are basically, Pete said, like you mentioned earlier, he's staying in New York. He doesn't want to leave the New York Mets. He doesn't want to be traded. I don't think you make another trade. I don't think you give the Mets more prospects. I still think Eric Fetty. I still think guys like Kopech. I think some of these other guys, you're not going to get a Crochet. You're not going to get a top flight starter, because you're going to have to give up top flight talent, and you really don't have that. And are you going to hurt yourself more than help yourself if you go after that big stuff, guys with big salaries, and you're going to pay it? Everyone's like, trade Montero. I'm like, I don't think he has much value, folks. So we're kind of in between a rock and a hard place. But if there's anybody that can do it, it's Dana Brown.
Yeah, Dana Brown is finding all the right parts for the future in the draft, and he's going to find the right parts at the trade deadline to get this Astros train back to another ALCS. Hopefully, we'll go and continue discussion in a second.
That's why this episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has millions of parts for your MVP, and you can win every time with parts that fit your ride or die. The formula for winning championships is passion, drive, and patience. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED, headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and keep on subscribing to us. Give us a big fat thumbs up, and go ahead and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And we are here for you every day. We didn't get a chance to do one last night, but we've done two today. So we appreciate the All-Star break and a little bit of time to be with our families. So we hope that you become part of the Locked On Astros nation or family, whatever we want to call this as well. So I know that the Astros have loaded up on college players for their future. And I talked about in the last episode, the reason why the Astros have gone up on a lot of college players is their depth in the farm system is a little thin right now, and right. B, it's a little bit cheaper to sign a college talent, especially seniors, because they don't have the option of going back and getting redrafted to possibly move their draft stock up. So the Astros have definitely loaded up on college pitchers. They drafted 8 in the first day and then 5 more in the second day. So they out of the 20 or 18 picks that do the math there, that's 8 plus 5 is 13. So 13 out of 18 picks were college pitchers. So that's exactly. They definitely had a need going into the draft.
Pitchers, catchers, and look, there's one player of, I think, some interesting peculiarity to him. He is still playing college football, Eric. He's playing for the Oregon Ducks. And Bryce Boddicker is an outfielder, 13th round. They said he will play football this fall for the Ducks. This is highly unusual, but the Astros are good with it. Boddicker has 1 year of football eligibility remaining. So could we be looking at the first ever 2-sport player in Houston sports history, where we have a guy that signs with the Astros, eventually makes it up, and makes the 53-man roster with the Houston Texans, and he has 2 coaches in Houston, Joe Espada and D'Amico Ryans. I mean, look, I know it might be a pipe dream, but that brought me back to the Bo Jackson days, the Deion Sanders days. I mean, Frank Thomas could have easily been a tight end in the NFL.
Michael Jordan. He was a
no,
two
Eric,
star talent. Come on,
no,
don't make him cry.
no. I'm talking about football and baseball. I'm not talking about basketball. No, and hey, remember, and I don't know if I've told you this. When Michael Jordan was a young player, I met him, got his autograph when he was promoting his shoes, and I won't go into the whole story, but after the autograph signing, he talked to my dad and I off to the side, and he asked me what my favorite sport was. And I remember he said, "Is your favorite sport basketball?" And I said, "No, my favorite sport's baseball." And Michael Jordan goes, "That's my favorite sport too." And we literally talked for about 5 or 10 minutes about how much he missed playing baseball. I didn't know that 10 years later, he would leave basketball for 2 years to go try to play professional baseball. So I remember
Thank
having
you,
that
Brett.
conversation.
The
Well,
Rockets,
I'm just
thank
saying.
you.
Yes, I know. Well, you're welcome. But I remember that having that conversation with Michael Jordan. But hey, back to Astro stuff. Justin Verlander, we do have some like updates for you guys. Justin Verlander did throw a bullpen session over the All-Star break. So did Luis Garcia. We don't have any like updates as far as time frame. He threw 25 pitches in Sunday's session. Espada said he looks really good. Just to emphasize, because there are people in the chat asking. We do know they signed Diaz. We talked about that. Kyle Tucker. Someone's like, is he going to be back the first day of the All-Star after the All-Star break? No, he's not. He is just day to day trying to get back as fast as possible. He doesn't know. Look, he's not milking the injury. Someone in here said, well, he's milking it for what it's worth. He's not getting extra benefit for sitting out. It's not like a 8th grader who doesn't want to play because his dad's forcing him to play a sport. Kyle Tucker wants to be on the field, but he absolutely cannot play if he hurts every time he steps. And you need Kyle Tucker if you're going to make a strong playoff run in the second half.
Yes, definitely. And Kyle Tucker is the Astros need him for sure. And I want to go back and say that the Astros actually drafted 11 right-handed pitchers in the draft. So
Okay.
I did get my numbers wrong, but that's still a lot. So and it was 19 players they drafted. So a good portion of their draft was spent on pitching. So they definitely identified a need. I know we talked about in the last show, they did draft a second catcher. It was Jason Chavone. He was from James Madison, and he's 21. Yeah. So they also have like a whole bunch of different names on here. Ethan Wagner is somebody that's expected to go to college, but the Astros feel really good about being able to sign him. So they took some risk on some players. So high risk, high rewards, including the third round pick that they got that had Tommy John.
Yeah. Well, exactly too. And there was actually a ton of, they didn't spend a ton of money. Walker Yannick actually made the most. His signing bonus was $3.13 million. But you go all the way down to the 10th round. Ramsey David, who's a pitcher out of southeastern Florida, his pick value is $178,000. And so I don't know that there was a lot of extra. I don't know if there was a ton of pool money on how much was available. But Eric, I like what they did in the first 10, 12 rounds. And overall, we may never know. Our 20th round guy, Kai McGray, who is an outfielder, who is a high school senior, he may turn out to be your stud. Drew Vogel, a shortstop out of, Murray State, may turn out to be your stud. We don't know. You can have guys with the highest projectability of all time and not perform and not, become something. And so only time will tell. I trust the process. I trust how we bring these guys up. And Dana Brown, I think we've got the tools to develop these young men and hopefully see them in Astros uniforms sooner rather than later.
And I just want to let everybody know that just because Yannick has a 3.1 slot value doesn't mean that's exactly what he's going to sign for. He's probably going to sign for either more or less. That way the Astros can...
I believe they're going to be able to bring him under that is what I'm hearing. But yeah, you're right. That is the projected value of that pick. That's not necessarily what he's signed for.
And a lot of the seniors signed for the minimum, which it used to be 500,000 or something like that. I don't know what it is this year, but the Astros have completed a draft, and now it's about signing these young players to start their professional career, and so hopefully they get that done. I know that there's some players that are trying to restart their professional careers. Luis Garcia was activated from the IL. That doesn't mean he's coming back, but he was activated from rehab because his 30 days was up. So he had to be activated and then sent back down to start another 30 days. So I know you had some reports on him.
I'm sorry, on who again? Sorry, I was
Luis Garcia.
Luis Garcia. Yeah, I mentioned that a couple minutes ago. He basically had a bullpen session on Sunday.
Okay.
And he threw and so just like Justin Verlander, he's at a bullpen session, and I guess we'll hear whenever we come out of the All-Star break exactly where he is.
Did you mention Victor Caratini?
I did not talk about Victor Caratini. No,
he's placed on a rehab assignment with the FCL Astros, right. So he's down there, probably not with Aledmys Diaz, but he's down there in the same area.
He is. Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, yeah, he is with Aledmys Diaz, but they're both down there because there's nothing really going on right now, and so right. He's not there because they're not there together. They just happen to be there at the same time. If it was the All-Star week, I'm assuming Caratini would be doing a rehab assignment at either Double or AAA.
Yeah, definitely. So tomorrow's show, we're definitely going to go deeper into what's going on with the Mariners. This is a big series coming up, and but right now it was mostly about Alvarez, the All-Star, the 3-time All-Star, and just a little bit on the future. So thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen, and we will see you back tomorrow, and go Astros.